What's up, y'all? LTJ Reads is here. This is Throwing Light, and if you're not throwing light, you're not acting right. Before we get started, I believe this is episode 167. I hope I'm not wrong. But anyways, we are nearing 200 episodes. It's going to be crazy. We're probably going to hit it towards the end of the year. I'm planning something tremendously large for the 200th episode of Throwing Light. So as we get closer, I'm gonna have some huge reveals for you guys. Other than that, please follow my YouTube channel. I gotta figure out how to get you guys and make it easy because people don't like to look for things. So I need to literally put it up somewhere so you guys can just click and go there. So I'm gonna do that, make it easy for you. Remember, all throwing lights that are done in Zoom are going to be there. I am working on the Throwing Light television show. I don't know how we're gonna how I'm going to post that, but we'll be starting production on that, so you guys can look for that. We got the Throwing Light tour that's going on. You can catch that on YouTube. Um, the next city we're going to is going to be New Orleans. I'll be there in 2 weeks, so keep up with that. Other than that, let's go ahead and kick it over to our guest, Jay Robinson, Laird Leatherman 2024, correct?
Yep, that's correct. Good morning from sunny Melbourne. It's actually winter, but the sun's out probably for about the next 20 minutes. So,
How warm is
um,
it?
um, it's it's still kind of cold, but I'm still wearing shorts, so
It's cold. It's warm. Well, I'm in
that means
Texas, so
it's not too
it's
cold.
freaking hot. Texas is literally a level up from hell. So it's really hot here. And it's going to get hotter, you know. And so
Well, with you
we
there,
are we
I
were just
expect that would
talking,
happen.
me and GW Reeds over here to my right. That's on the bed right now. We were talking about how it's really hard to be a Leatherman in Texas in the heat. I don't wear full leather a whole lot during the day. Hardly. It doesn't happen. If I do wear leather in the daytime, um, has to be for a special event. But I will wear it in evenings. But I mean, it comes off. I end up taking it off anyway. So, and everybody knows I don't like wearing clothes to get with. So, um, so, um. We have not seen each other in 13, 14
Just
months in the same
just over a year, yeah.
arena. I think we haven't talked. It's been a while. I did have the most amazing opportunity of watching all the Australian contestants that competed this year at IML. Lovely bunch of people. And if they're watching, hello. I got to Liam was great, and so was BB, and then Jacob, and then Luis. And so they all did, I thought, an amazing job. So
I
it was
totally
really
agree,
great.
yeah.
Yeah, I was really excited for them. They were definitely in my top, like all four of them were, and people I wanted to see at least succeed. And when I say succeed, I mean perform in a way that you're proud of and that you're able to go home and elevate yourself with. And I thought they all did that. I thought when you guys all competed, um, I was obsessed. I didn't know you were going to do a split. And so, yeah, you told me you had to warm up for that. You weren't planning to do
Well,
that. You told me you didn't
I kind
plan. Go ahead.
I was a bit concerned because the jock that I ended up wearing for that round, I got really, really late just before I got here. And so I was just like concerned that if I did do the splits, that everything would still stay within the jock strap, if you get what I mean. So I do remember briefly before we went out, quickly running up and like sliding my legs up against a wall to make sure
You could
we
do
were all
it.
good. And to be honest, I was so excited for that component. I really didn't know the combination of what was going to happen. So I just wanted to really just like leave myself alone and give as much of myself in that moment. I felt, I feel pretty confident being on a stage, having, like being a theatre kid and training in those kind of creative disciplines. And it was really one of the most like favorite parts of the whole competition for me. And at the end of that night, when me and all my siblings came on at the end, like just seeing everyone it was really one of the most like proudest moments of my life to share that. So, but yeah, I was just glad that I could still do the splits, and then I think I did a rollover, and somehow my Garrison hat still stayed on. So I was like,
You did, it was so unexpected. I had no idea. I had no idea. And I hadn't really super studied you like I've studied you now. And it was unexpected. That's the word. I have to tell you, and it was you did it perfect. When was the last time you had done a split before that?
um, probably yeah, just before like maybe half an hour before PEX actually started. But look, if I get a couple of beers into me and I'm out at a club and a Madonna song comes on, it's almost a guarantee that that's going to happen at some point. So, what was really funny was, when I was a little kid growing up in the 80s and 90s, I always practiced doing the splits because my auntie said, "Oh, boys can't do the splits, only girls do the splits." And I remember being so defiant at her saying that to me that I practiced every day. And then when I was about like 11 or 12, and I went through puberty like super early, so my body was just like, whoosh, but I got really bendy. And then I just ended up doing them literally everywhere. So I think because I've done them so much, even at this ripe old age, there's still can do it. But yeah, it depends how many Carlton drafts I've had, but before I go
Well, I
throw
know next
myself
time I
into
hang
that.
out, I'm going to get you liquored up. So, because I need that to happen all the time, honestly.
No worries.
Okay. So, freak, so much, not so much time, but time has passed. I noticed you dancing, and I started watching all of your videos of you moving and how beautifully you move.
Thanks,
So
Wesley.
it now actually understanding you, what you did at IML makes sense. But I learned that you can do even more. You know what I'm saying? So let's start here.
Mhm.
We're gonna put IML aside. We might come back to that. But you got back to Australia after IML, and how was your title year for you?
Honestly, that my title year was the most amazing 12 months I honestly have ever experienced in my life. And I think the night of the actual competition, like I just remember going home and just feeling different. And I was so proud that, like, so happy that I had actually won the competition because I had worked very hard beforehand. Like, I think having trained as a dancer, there's so many kind of lessons and skill sets you come from working in that kind of field. Because if you don't have a strong work ethic, you just don't get work. And so to be able to apply that to the other things that I'm passionate about really served me very well. And I had literally worked on preparing for Laird Leatherman every night for about 6 months, including the talent round. So we had a talent round at the end of that. Um, and so when I got back, and it was a very busy year. I think for me, I obviously represent the Laird Hotel, which is very much like a male-only space, but it is the only current leather title in the state of Victoria in Australia. So very soon I realized stepping into that it was very important to understand the other people that were in my local communities that might not have the access to the Laird Hotel because obviously, they're not men. And so it was really important to me to kind of connect and touch base with the people from all kink and fetish communities. Also because I felt that it was really important to kind of bring a Leatherman presence to those events and show that we are approachable and compassionate and down to earth and funny. And there's a bit of a stigma, I think, sometimes, with this stoic Leatherman image. So my title year was very active, kind of like just doing all of those things. But I knew that I only had it for 12 months, Lewis, and I just did not want to waste any time. It was absolutely exhausting. Like I was working at an amazing local iconic shop here called Eagle Leather that's been around for over 30 years. So I was assistant managing there. full time and kind of doing my title. And that was for most of the year. Luckily, I had two of the most amazing bosses in my whole life, Pepper and BJ, and them working in that environment and seeing so like bringing how that place in particular brought so many components of our community together and giving people the opportunity to wear gear. And then I had the honor of actually serving and connecting with these people. So I feel like my time there and developing those skills of communicating to a really wide range of people from the community gave me a really strong skill set to step into my title and give me that skill set to really go out and really achieve what it was that I wanted with it.
What was the
Um,
name of the shop?
Eagle Leather.
Eagle Leather.
Yeah, so they've been around for like I think it was their birthday recently, just over 30 years. They are one of the biggest sponsors of all events around Australasia. They recently just sponsored an MX leather title that just was birthed over the weekend. So working there, I got a lot of like behind the scenes kind of sense of like, just how much sponsorship is so like the lifeline of these local competitions. And it was a real honor to work there and be a part of it and really get that knowledge and insight. And yeah, it was an incredible experience to be a part of.
So, you were able, and I always love it when occupation and leather life connect. And so you were able to serve your community at your job, and then as being a title holder, kind of, like it, I like the idea of you are essentially serving your community in that way.
Mm.
Getting people into gear and leather, especially for the first time, you're probably, you're helping a lot of people feel confident and sexy as a job, and making
Yeah,
sure that what they are wearing feels authentic to them. That means a lot. And we don't talk about a lot of this as a society, especially, well, in American society, we definitely don't about buying things to make us feel good, wearing things that make us feel safe. Like we do it, but there's not really conversations about like, oh, you should go do this. You should go buy clothes that make you feel authentic and sexy and um so many of us, especially in the leather community, don't have the luxury of blending everything together. So for a lot of people, they go to work and they don't feel like themselves. You know what I'm saying? Um, do you
yeah,
feel
I
you're-
definitely do.
I mean, do you feel like you've changed anybody's life by putting them into gear?
Oh, absolutely. I have so many customers and people that I've kind of seen come and approach me and say, "Oh, I remember when you served me at Eagle Leather and you'd made me feel so good about it. You gave me such great advice." And it's something I kind of noticed over that time. To be honest, Lewis, I often refer to Eagle Leather as my experience. I kind of felt like it was almost like a church. And in a way, I kind of like got to be a priest. So, because that job wasn't just yeah, yes, we had, you've got to make money to keep a shop open and a business, but there was so much more of spiritual kind of gratitude at the opportunities I had within that role. Like one of the most amazing experiences that I still remember to this day is having, I had a beautiful trans man come in and he'd never been to Eagle Leather. And just funnily enough, that day we had our leather maker, Sebastian, at the time, he had made this beautiful bulldog leather harness in the trans pride flag colors and we just brought it out of the workroom and hung it up. And Brody, the guy, the trans man that came in, who's now a dear brother of mine, he came up to me and he said, "Oh, excuse me, is it okay if I try that on?" I said, "Oh, absolutely." So I put it on him and it actually fit him perfectly. but the spark that you see in people's eyes when they finally find something that echoes and connects them on a deeper level, it's very evident. And it was such a gift of that job to be a part of that process and to also witness it, and having, particularly like trans men coming in that have just had top surgery and getting their harness and handing it to them. Like it was really, they were really emotional moments for me because I still remember, and just my own journey of life of those moments where I found things that put me in my own power, that made me feel included in something. And so I do feel that that job had this beautiful opportunity to, really encourage people to, just give it a go. And, even if they couldn't afford it or whatever, I just always wanted to give them experience. And it was always important to me in that role to make sure that everybody walked out with a smile on their face. So, yeah, it was a very, very special part. And I do feel, yeah, I've been very, very fortunate to have a lot of people come and say thank you to me in regards to helping them get into their first bit of gear or selling it to them. But I'm also thankful for the experience that they were able to meet someone that, was really positive. And because, sometimes when people start out trying to, get into certain communities and they might not have the right gear, there are other people that like might put pleather down or PVC, but you never know where someone's at and what they're able to get. So I think, you know, it's really important that we just always kind of just support each other, Yeah.
Yeah, it's such it seems so small, but it's so big, you never, it's the little things that impact people. You never know. Like you said, people, you're doing what you think is just your job and serving your community. And you don't know how that little second,
Absolutely.
that fraction, that smile that they left on the face, how it's going to change them. Obviously, dance brings you joy. And how have you been and how have you been with, how's your relationship with dance been recently?
Recently, I think it's always something that's going to be a very big component of who I am. Ever since I can remember, I've never really had an easy time sitting still. But I think, I mean, my relationship with dance was very organic. It started when I was about 4 years old. And one of my earliest memories, funnily enough, is dancing to the Material Girl video clip by Madonna on TV. And I remember my mum telling me off saying, "Oh, you're not a girl. What are you doing?" And so from a very young age, I became very aware of gender roles were really heavy in the early 80s for me growing up. So, you know, uh, I really never understood how they worked. I just knew I liked what I liked, and dancing was one of them. And then one day I was dancing to New Kids on the Block in my bedroom. I was so obsessed with them. Donnie Wahlberg was my first crush ever. And my dad had walked. Oh my God, bless him. He's still a spunk still. But I was so obsessed with them, and I often danced a lot as a kid in my bedroom. And I remember one day my dad came in, and it was like a scene in a movie. And my dad was very, very like back then, very homophobic, very, very typically like Aussie bloke, I guess we'd call him. Yeah, and he's like, "What are you doing? You're not a little Sheila, so stop acting like one." And so after that, I got very afraid to do any movement in front of anyone for many years. Um, so any opportunity I had, school holidays or when my parents left, I'd rearrange the lounge room, go put my VHS video in and dance to Janet Jackson and Madonna and these absolute amazing, icons of the MTV generation that just filled me with so much imagination and hope that life would actually get better. And then I trained as an actor. I went to acting school at 19. And then at the end of that, I decided that I wanted to give dancing a go. And so I auditioned to get into a dance degree in Adelaide, in South Australia, where I grew up. I was fortunate enough to get in, and I started my professional dance training at the age of 24. And so it was very frustrating because I was in a group of like a lot of like these amazing young women and one other bloke, and they'd all done it for years and years. So I was really behind the back burner. But in a way, it made me work so much harder because I really wanted to have a career in that field. And when I did a lot of my acting kind of training, so much of my feedback from a lot of directors was like, less face noise. And my body, I was always really overtly physically engaged in performing. So it made sense to go off and be a dancer. So that's kind of how it all started. Then I worked independently, and it was really important to me I just wanted to make work that was super queer and super gay and about sex and all the things that I grew up needing to see in mainstream media that I wasn't afforded to, that we have the luxury of today through the access that we have to so many things. And it was really important to me. So I was very lucky enough to produce and create my own work. I wasn't going to wait for someone to give me a job. I just got good at writing grants. And I was very fortunate enough to get most of them and toured around Australia, produced my own work, and then kind of moved to Melbourne to be a dancer and kind of fell into bartending and hospitality. And now my dance work mainly comprises of like doing a club act for one of the amazing events that we have here. My best friend Anthony is an incredible dancer, and we're actually going to be starting to learn all the dance breaks from Janet Jackson's video clips with a good
Good
friend
luck.
because
I
I
bet
just
you can do that. I wish I could do that. I was listening to Janet Jackson on my way to traveling today. I enjoy a lot of Janet Jackson songs. I'll relate to you this on this. I wanted to be a cheerleader, but it just never happened. But I wanted to be in a boy band. So I came a little bit after you. Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and all of that were going on for me. And I bought the NSYNC CD and I had a video camera because I wanted to be a filmmaker, and I would videotape it. So I would have it so I could know what I was doing wrong or whatever. And my mom and sister found the tapes and decided to watch them. And it was just so fucking embarrassing. But like they laughed. And I was just so humiliated, but like I like went in the room and my mom's like, "You're just expressing yourself." So even though I still think I was in a homophobic environment, that particular situation, they were amused, you know. So
yeah.
I wanted to be in a boy band so fucking bad, like literally bad. I still do. And
Let's
so
make one. We should make a leather boy band. That would be
a,
awesome.
a man band, the first man band, leather man band.
Spicy boys.
Call us whatever we want. We have to come up with some kind of like leather code kink names or something like that. Or
All
we
right,
go
I'll
by our
work on
names,
it.
really. I'd go be LTJ Reeds. That's what I would be. We can
Oh
do
yeah,
this. We
that's a
can do
perfect name, and
this.
I can choreograph it. We'll be
I
sorted.
You put me and throw me into rap, and we're all good. We're all good. We've got what we need to make a successful, worldwide successful leather man band. So I'm looking at you. I'll do it. Y'all know I'll do
Let's do
what I
it.
say. I'll be over there. Come practice. You know I want to come to
We
Australia.
can
I
put.
want y'all to bring me to Australia so bad. I probably
It'd be
not, but
so
I
great
think
to
if
have you
I
coming
like
in.
at this point, I think if I wanted to go somewhere, like actually go and try to pursue a life out of the US, I think it would be Australia, to be honest with you, because it's so like I don't know. I've gone to the UK several times, and I have a lot of friends that have moved to Australia and they love it. So I don't know. So what do you feel has been your most motivating issue, being in this community? What really makes you want to fight or affects you emotionally that you see that you're really passionate about speaking up about?
I think something that I think there's always space for is making more room and creating more action and communication to always make the community grow, particularly with the younger members or the newer members, regardless of what age they are, coming into the community. And I often think about, the ancestry of our community and the pioneers of the people that stood up and really established our community and brought people into it, and just how the generosity and commitment, really paved the way for all the rest of us. And we have to keep that commitment ongoing, and I think that is like an infinite source of motivation for me. Since I completed my IML experience last year, I decided to actually start working at the Lead Hotel as a way
The
to
Laird
stay connected.
Hotel.
Yeah, so that's the Lead Hotel is that's where my title's from, my title. So
Why is
Laird
it called a
Leatherman.
hotel though?
Um, it's just like another word for pub, because and hotel, because they have accommodation that there's accommodation rooms above the pub that you can stay in.
Well, Americans, did you all just learn something? All right, keep on going. I did not know. I'm thinking that you were going to go work at a hotel. Didn't know that was another name for like a pub or
No,
something
not
like that.
yeah. It's kind of like it can also be used in that context as well. Um, but I was like, I'm always here. I really needed a second job. And it's just been such a great way to stay connected within the community. And the beautiful thing that happens so often is almost every shift or every time I come here, there's always new people arriving here. And you know, if I see someone sitting by themselves, or like, you don't know what that person's gone through that day just to get themselves through the door. And the regulars sometimes that come here, and I guess this can happen really in any kind of club or pub or whatever, but you always see the same people with the same people. And so I like to kind of like break ice, and I'm constantly meeting visitors. Like not long ago, I met a lovely guy from San Francisco that is friends with Dave C from my year, Tracy and Alex. He knew who all of those they were, and so those moments connect me to my siblings, and I get so excited, and then I have an opportunity to make him feel welcome in my community in the same way that I felt welcomed when I walked through the door at Eagle SF. Like that sense of welcoming and belonging that I experienced in the cities that I visited within California, those moments were really transformative and really special for me. And so it's great to have the opportunity to give back that. So I guess in a way, that motivation to always help include people and break down the sense of intimidation a lot of people feel towards finding their way into the leather community. That's something that's always going to be like very important to me. And I think the other thing that's really important is the motivation of, you said what it is, what makes you want to fight. And the answer to that is just the complete fucking amount of crazy injustice in the world. And we're seeing it here being cultivated in Australia now too. We've got an awful politician here who is, really, you know, kind of leading by Trump's playbook. Wants to abolish, you know, immigrants and all these things that really actually make this country so amazing. And I think we have to fight for those things. It's the same with the rise of the right all across the world. It's really disturbing to see. And in the same way that our ancestors had to fight against, things like Anita Bryant and that Harvey Milk era, and HIV and AIDS, all the things, that we've had to fight for. The fight hasn't ended, and it's like we really just have to fucking arm up and use our voices and stay committed to making sure that not only I have rights, but everyone that's a part of my community does too. Because if I don't have that, then what's the point in, if other people don't have that, then there's no point in anyone having it. Because then no, we're not ever going to move forward collectively if we don't, So yeah, there's been a lot of things in the media this week about, I don't even want to say the politician's name because they're just such a waste of breath. But it's really scary kind of
No,
seeing.
I never say the person over here that is in the White House. I never say the name. I don't know if people ever
It's
notice
not
that.
worth
I
it.
don't. I might say it to friends privately, because I feel like if I say the name, I give power to it and validate it, and I will never call him a president. I will never say that in front of his name either. So that's where I'm at. When someone is just a despicable human, you just don't want to, you don't, saying their name can make you feel disgusting, you know?
Yeah, and like you said, yeah, like if the more attention we give these people, the more power we give them, and we can actually be
Exactly.
redirecting that power to be communicating with each other and be like, and even just, something as simple as like if you see someone having a bad day or being affected by that, give them a hug. Like it's always the best form of medicine is knowing that there's someone out there that like is going to make time for you or help hold you up in the same way that you need, But yeah, I think that the motivation of um, action from in within the community will always be about making people feel included, and that's not just men; it's everyone. And always, fighting the injustice towards any part of our collective beautiful family. Every letter of our, like, I call it alphabet, is there for a reason, and I don't want to exist without all of them, because we all feed each other. That's how I see it anyway.
So, we're getting towards the end. I have one question for you, Jay. And what do you think, is an aspect of the community, or not just our community? Because, I think as leather people, we need to look at our community at large and understand that our culture is a little more concentrated with diversity compared to the larger game. Do you think there's any aspect of our community that we're not shedding enough light on?
I think in a way, it's funny. I've been thinking a lot about this. And I think something I'm kind of like considering is just the role of like social media within our communities. And I've really started to ask myself, is this something that is like bettering our community, or is it something that's like kind of destroying us? I think there's such a catch-22. And I think when I was in my title year, having things like Facebook and Instagram were great because it gave me platforms to help understand and express what I felt were my core values as a title holder and the things that I wanted to champion and change within that community. It was an amazing avenue to do that. Not only does it give you an audience of across the world, but then there's the flip side where I'll open Facebook and there's so much like tension and anger towards people in the community that because they've been fucked over by someone or and I get it, but I'm just like I just think it's so important that I don't know, I don't want to give it too much attention, I mean, I'm thankful for it and the great things about it. Like without it, we wouldn't be having this interview in a way, So, um, but I worry about the importance and how much we're living in our phones when the world and life is actually up and around us. Um, and just like the way that Meta is controlling what gets published, and like the pub, the gay pub my titles from, and I work at, our Instagram got taken down for what was it, like human exploitation or something. And that's so far from the truth. We're just a bar trying to promote our events so we can get people in the door and stay open. You know, one of the really prominent events here, Thick and Juicy, that's been running for a really long time, you know, all their Instagram got taken down. I'm like, how are these people's things getting taken down when I can open it and see some really awful shit on there that's full of hate and anger and just people really scared of themselves, you know? I think
Yeah.
that's where so much of this anger comes from because people see people like us in our communities that are living our lives and being authentic, and those people that don't have that opportunity, that are carrying around so much hate for themselves, have to pour it out somewhere. And social media is a great platform for that. But
Yeah.
you know, also the effects of like just mental health. Like, so I felt like a friend of mine was saying he opened Instagram the other day and he just felt awful about himself, you know, and it's just like the rise of AI profiles and all these like perfectly looking people. So I'm kind of obsessed a little bit at the moment of what the role of social media has within our communities, and like asking the community, like, how do we want to use it for its best effectiveness, and lifting each other up and communicating a spirit of love and togetherness and hope, you know, rather than this like fighting and arguing and they said, she said,
Yeah.
blah 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 kind of thing. Like, have those conversations in real time and have them with compassion, and or understand there's always two sides to a story. But you know, I just look at the pioneers and our ancestors and the legends of our communities from all over the world, the men, the women, the trans people, the non-binary people that gave us what we had today. None of them had social media, and look what they achieved. So, you know, I think we kind of got to always come back to, you know, um, that incredible, you know, community that we have because of so many of those people, you know, and always taking that into the future.
Right on. All right, Jay. Well, this has been a wonderful episode as I thought it would be. So I'm glad that I was able to have this with you.
Thank you so much,
I
Lewis.
really I really hope to be in y'all's presence again, and I believe I will be, and I believe sooner than later. But you
I
know,
hope so too, buddy. Yeah, and if
I
you
would
ever
like to
come to
take some
Australia,
time. Yeah. Oh, I'm going to come to
yeah,
Australia. I'm going to figure it out. I really am. There is one thing left for you to do, Jay. You know what it is?
yeah.
All right. I'm going to count to
If you're not,
three. Okay. Well, I'm going to count to three and then you
all
do it.
right,
Okay. But you were ready. Okay. One,
I'm always
two,
ready.
three.
If you're not throwing right, like, oh my God, Jay.
Take
If you're not
two.
throwing like, you ain't acting right.
There you go. Okay. I like the ninja moves. All right, cool. All right, Jay. Well, thank you for being on Throwing Light. Yo, it's been another episode of Throwing Light in
Thank you so
Australia.
much. Thanks so much for having me, Lewis.
Thank you,
Always an
sir,
honor.
Jay. We'll see y'all next
Thanks.
time.
See you,
Bye.
babe. Bye bye. See ya.